Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live, and I have the man himself here with us this evening. But before we get into bringing Jay on here, I'm going to give my shout outs, and I know everybody thinks I'm crazy, and sometimes I probably am. But I'm going to give my shout outs here. Mark Gassard, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, the peachiest place on the planet. You better believe it. I'm going to say hello to the Grow Live Academy. Welcome, 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 all you virtualistic wizards out there on the live stream, and the emerging sales winners, the diehards, the Megamind Pro. So, hello, hello, hello. So, with that, I've got a gentleman here from Suez Falls, South Dakota, right? I don't know if we should call him the Suez Falls Express, the Suez Falls Sales Fanatic. Jay Jensen is the man. Jay Jensen sold used cars. He's been in the sales profession just a few couple of years, right? And this gentleman brings a breath of fresh air in my way of looking at things. So he even went as far as I can't sell, so I wrote a book. Figure that one out. And then he had an election, which we're going to find out when we bring Jay on, right? It was old school versus new school versus the school of sales. And Jay brings it. You'll see his illustrious book on a bunch of crates in the background, but with everything said, Jay is to me, is a pioneer out there in the world of sales. With that, Jay, let's bring him on right now. Here he is, the man himself, Jay Jensen. Jay, what's going on? Oh,
So,
wait a minute, he's on the phone.
so if I buy three pizzas, can you throw in an order of breadsticks? No. Can you order in? Can you give me some of the Parmesan cheese packets for free? Okay, I'll do that then. Yeah, send those pizzas. All right, thank you.
Well,
Well,
well, Jay,
I ordered three pizzas and I got three Parmesan cheese, buddy.
J-
That's to do it old school.
okay. Well, Jay, I didn't know that you were selling, or what are you doing there, man? I mean,
Well,
you're in your
I'm ordering lunch.
wow.
I ordered my pizza. So
I hear you, buddy. Well, listen, since you're in your studio, you got to tell me whatever happened. You had a legal battle. I see Hubba Bubba in the background. Whatever happened with that, Jay?
well, I tell you, it was I'm not supposed to really say anything. We got a confidential agreement here, but three of my fans actually contacted Double Bubble and was going to boycott them for not buying more of their gum unless they let me, sponsor me again. Since they only had three people that still bought the gum, they caved in, and I got to be Double Bubble sponsor again.
We already got some people saying hi to us. Randy
Oh yeah.
Chafee saying hi to us. Robert Brooker saying hi. Here's a good guy, Ron
Hey,
Goodwin.
there we go.
He's got a hot one on the blue phone. That's what he was
Oh yes, I
checking you
did.
out there.
It's a all meat pizza, three of them.
All meat. That is awesome. And then look at that. Tom Ginn decided to share this. So you're being shared out there through
Oh
like
yeah.
Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. They may be banging your door down.
That be nice besides the cops every once in a while to have somebody else bang my door down.
Oh my God. So you look at this. And then Tom talks about G forces in the house. We got a
Yeah,
bunch of
hi
people
Tom.
out here. I don't know how to take the G force thing.
Well, right
Tammy,
there.
there's Tammy. There's
Hi
another
Tammy.
one of the Grow Live Academy. Hey, Mark and Jay. Thank you, Tammy, for saying hello to us. But Jay, I got to talk to you about your sales career. So, what made you go sell used cars all these years? I mean, was it because you failed school? Do you like to
Well,
drink? What was it?
I always tell people my in college my blood alcohol content was higher than my grade point average. So after about 7 years in college, I decided to get into sales. I didn't even mean to get into sales. I got started selling timeshare one summer.
Oh, wow.
like in between, semesters or whatever, between in the summer. And I
That's
liked
high
it.
pressure.
It was a blast. It was. I was scared first day there. It was just like holy buckets. I wanted to run because you have all these guys, that have been selling 60s and 70s and into the 80s, and God, they were smart, and it was just I felt out of my league or whatnot, but they were good guys. They taught me a lot of things, so that's how I got in sales.
Okay. And
This
then did you
mindset
transition from that sale to
to selling
used
cars.
cars?
Yeah, and I did that for a long time, and then I said, I'm tired of selling cars. And this friend of mine she goes, you can sell anything you want. I go, serious? She goes, yeah, you can sell cars, you can sell anything. So, I'd kind of been doing mostly car sales. Right now, I'm doing camper sales. That was kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
Uh, yeah, I wanted to find something to do that I could take the winters off because go to Asia, Southeast Asia with my wife and hang out for about 3 or 4 months every winter. And I thought, well, this would be a good gig. And holy crap, I've never worked harder in my life because camper sales like tripled.
Oh,
It's
my
just been
goodness,
nuts.
Jay.
I know it.
Hey, listen to this. And Tammy says, I
Oh,
love the double bubble when I was a kid. See?
oh yeah,
So, and I'm looking at it back here, Jay. So you got the lawsuit thing worked out, and there's that book, the
yeah.
infamous I Can't Sell, so I wrote a book.
Yeah. It's been really successful. It's been a big seller for me. The problem is it's been so successful, you can't get your hands on it anywhere. Amazon, uh, they quit carrying my book because I'd never had any in stock, and it's just been I'm working with the printers, trying to get more copies out there. So far, we only got one copy. That's it. But
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I've gone to Amazon, I've called other publishers, and they said, "Well, we know who he is, but we haven't begun publication. So what's up with that?" I mean,
well, I got to write the book first. Um,
oh, I
I
see.
I spent a lot of time on the title, about 6 months, and I got ADD, and I've kind of lost interest in the book. But I didn't want my title to go to waste, so I wrote a title.
Oh, that's cool. So that's as far as you got then in 6 months, huh?
Yeah.
And
But
and, and
it's a good
Jay, I got to
title.
ask you. This has been really. I'm curious. So we just had an election where I guess we're still up in the air with that. Whatever. But you had an election. And it
I
was
did.
old school versus new school versus the school of sales. Can you tell us what's the outcome? Who won?
Well, see, it's difficult. Like I said, you got old school and new school, and and then there's got their own points, but we're the same. It's so funny. It's just like the political election. It's up in the air because old school people voted, new school people they don't like people. They'd rather do things on the internet and such like that. So they all wrote in their ballots, or mailed them in, and it's just a mess. And then there was hanging chads or whatever those were, but yeah, it all started because of Georgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What happened there? What do you mean? It
I'm
started because of
asking
our
you.
state?
Yeah, it was your state. What is going on? You should be out counting votes instead of interviewing me. So,
I don't know, man. I can only go up to 10, and that's about it, Jay. I'm doomed after that. It's I'm just another broken down sales guy like yourself.
well, that's
Um,
just it.
so what do you think though? Seriously, everybody talks about how sales has changed, and this is why I wanted you on here. I'm so
Yep.
excited to have you on. And I've talked to Ben Gay the third. Ben, if you're listening, I love you,
Hi,
my
Ben.
brother. You're a good man. And
Yes,
Jay
he is.
says hello. But tell me, is has sales really changed? I mean,
Well,
since you've been doing it, tell us the story.
it has changed, but not the way people say it isn't. It's when we first started, people would come to us for their information. There was no internet. Okay, um, that is that's what changes now. People are informed, and for me, it's an easier sell because people know what the heck's going on. They're more trusting, but no, the actual when you finally meet the people, you still go through the sales process. The only thing that changed is that you're getting into when the people finally reach out to you.
Right.
That's the only thing that's changed. And people get confused with that by saying, no, it's all changed. The process is still the process. You still got to investigate. You still got to find the right solution. You still have to talk and do this. And just because they did the research doesn't mean it's always right either. You got to ask them. You've got to ask them, what they want, just to double check, because I've done that. I thought I knew what I wanted and going to buy it, and thank God I got a hold of a good salesperson and said, now tell me more. And then I find out, no, what I thought I wanted wasn't actually it. It was, I
Gotcha.
needed something else. So, you just can't be a clerk anymore. That's the difference. Because just because they research doesn't mean you write it up. You still got to do your job. And even what they want may not be the thing they want, or need. And you got to tell them that too. Guys, it's really not what you're after. So,
And Jay, that's a great point, because what you're talking about is there are options out there you can use. So I think, if I understand you correct, some people just rely on email. Some people may just rely on virtual. Some people have an aversion to that thing called a telephone. Um, I know you've got a blue phone. I'm sure
phone 8
yeah,
before.
yeah, there it is. And so is it okay to use a cumulative effect of virtual, uh, whether you get online and do some things, but you still have to call people up. You still have to engage.
You still have it is. Even though they think keyboard to keyboard, instead of belly to belly and face to face,
Right.
you have to, you still got to converse. And you got a sales cadence. I mean, you got to use whatever tool there's. I mean, before, when we were first starting out in sales, it was a Rolodex
Yep.
and a phone, and that was
Yes,
it.
sir.
you know. And the Rolodex, you'd see all these pencil marks, like, no, you don't call him anymore. Him anymore. It was all outdated information, and you had to dig into it. But now you've got all sorts of stuff in car sales. A lot of my stuff will start with a lead they sent in, or even camper sales. Okay, I've got to take it from there, and I'll use the phone. I'll use texting. I've done video, FaceTime. I ask a lot of questions, and I'll tell them, guys, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. It's, because I want to make sure I'm getting you the right product. As
Hey,
long as you do it for them, it's different if you do, like you say, instead of an interrogation, it's a conversation.
there
And
you go.
it is. Well, I told you the story about my son. Moved to South Carolina just recently. Graduated, college, 2 degrees. Moved down to Greer, South Dakota. He's working at Toyota of Greer, by the way. And he asked me, he said, calls me up and said, Dad, what about objections like interior color? People don't like interior color. I said, well, okay. First try to find something without that interior color, because that's what they want. But let's say, just ask them, folks, if I find the right car for you that has all the equipment, the options, the miles, everything you want in your price range, is interior color going to stop you from, making the decision? And he goes, well, Dad, that sounds too salesy. And I said, no, son, it's like this. I know you don't like mushrooms, so I'm going to ask you, hey, Nick, I'm ordering pizza tonight. It's going to be, all meat pizza. I am going to have mushrooms on it. Is that all right? Will you eat it if I get the mushrooms? He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, that's all you're asking them. It's not a
Right.
trick question. It's just, hey, I got your pizza. It's the way you liked it, but it's going to have mushrooms. Is that going to stop you from eating it? And go, it's not a trick question. If you say, yeah, no, I don't want it with mushrooms, well, then go to McDonald's, buddy, because that's what I'm going to have. No, but that's your conversation you have. It's not an interrogation. You're not putting them on the spot. You're just asking them a question.
And you and I talked earlier here before we came on here live. You mentioned about using virtual or Zoom, and you have to be animated, a little amped up, to
Yeah.
convey your message, because people can go to sleep on you out there. They next thing you know, they'll have popcorn. It'll be like a movie, and they'll have the lights dimmed on you, and you won't even be able to see them. But I don't think that's a problem with you.
Oh, heck no.
You keep people entertained, but I'm just sharing some comments here, like, find out if it's a deal breaker. This is
Yeah,
what Ron
exactly,
says.
Ron. You're not hurting. All you're doing is asking, because you're not doing the customer service, because they may say they don't want a brown interior, but you know what? It's not like they don't want it. They'd rather not have it. I mean, if absolutely you don't want it, fine. But would be not doing you a favor by showing you the car that has everything else you want, you know.
Right.
And if it's a deal breaker, perfect, guys. It's your car. I just asked. That's all I'm doing. Is I just, if it is a deal breaker, great. Let's figure something else out.
Right.
Like get
And,
you a pair of sunglasses. Go take you to Walmart and get you some other.
oh my goodness, Jay. So when you were selling cars, now seriously,
Yeah,
when you were in the car with a potential customer, what type of conversation did you have with them? Like,
none. Here's what I did. I'd always go, "Hey, is it all right if I ride with you guys?" And they go, "You don't know what it's like. I'm on the lot all day with these salesmen. God, you can't believe a word they say and the stories they tell. Please, I just go with you." And they're laughing. And what I do is I get in the back seat, they're going like, "Ha ha ha," you know. But I would just sit there and sit in the back seat and I watch them play with stuff. Just shut up. You don't need to talk. People think salesmen, we got to talk all the time. No, no, no. I'd sit back and I'd watch, and you'd see them playing with it, and you'd see them kind of whispering back and forth, and and then every once in a while I'd say, "You guys whispering, the salesman's fat and ugly," because he knows that. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. But you find what they like to play with, and then when you're coming back, you knew if you had a
right.
car deal or not. If I wasn't sure, I'd say, "Hey, let's switch drivers. Let's go for a little bit of longer trip." And you'd be surprised. I'd have them drive until I knew they wanted the car or not. And one guy
Really?
drive, yeah, Brookings, it was a Corvette. A guy drove 45 miles, and I couldn't tell if he wanted it or not until he said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, this car will work." Okay. Well, shit, that was a long 45-minute drive back again. Thinking, "Oh, great, now what do I do?" He said, "What do you want?" I give him 45 minutes not to want to buy it. But
Right.
you know,
And that's cool, Jay, because when I helped my son buy a truck about a year and a half ago, the guy wouldn't stop talking when I was in the truck with him. And I was in the back, and I was like, dude, just let it go and let the kid drive the car, a
yeah,
truck rather. I mean, you're killing us. Um,
and that's just it. You watch, and you see them and they talk. And a lot of times I joke too, is I'd pull a car up. They always say, "You drive the car off the lot," and I ain't gonna do that. I've already driven it. But I would put the seat back in the wrong spot and
right.
purposely move it, so they got to start playing
Sure.
with it a little bit and
Sure.
getting used to the car. And then I go, "Hey, let's go."
And then another salesman, he was really cool because he talked to my son about going to college. What's he going to
Yeah.
major in? I understand you play football. He didn't talk about the truck, you
Uh,
know? And then Teddy looked at me and says, "You know what? I think I like this." I said, "You know what? I think I like it too.
yeah.
Let's see what we can do and get to the terms of this." And the guy knew, hey, these guys are going to buy the truck because
Yeah.
previous place, the guy just kept going on about the features and the benefits and I'm like, dude, we just want to drive it, see how it feels. And, my
Yeah.
son likes it. Yeah, we're going to get it. But
Well, you do that in before you even get in the car. I'd always ask a bunch of questions.
sure.
Again, like you're talking common ground. And I will say one thing I'm blessed with is I've been able to get common ground rather quickly, like Kevin Bacon, the 6 Series. But it's funny, but you find that stuff out. So you pick the right car, it has it. And you do know. And you don't have to keep telling them about, well, this has got the radio you like. You didn't do this. You don't get to do that. People they just know.
Right.
And you don't have to keep selling the car. Just sell yourself and just make them comfortable in the car. That's half the battle.
And Robert says the last car I bought, I didn't even get to choose which one.
Oh, I got to hear that story.
That's a different approach. I mean, but with that, Jay, oh, he says, here you go. He goes, and that is why I have a VW Jetta now.
Well, those are good cars. The Jetta's a great car.
And you know what? I have one too. So I
Really?
hate to, yeah, it is a
Yeah,
great car.
they are.
So they're very reliable, dependable. These
Oh
Germans
yeah,
make pretty good
it's like that
cars.
blind date. Yeah, she's a good conversationalist. No, dude.
Oh God, Jay.
Yeah, How do you like your
So
Jetta? Yeah, it's real reliable. Good gas mileage.
yeah, I get you. Okay. So let me ask you this. What have you done in the past to prepare yourself when you go out into the world? Like, I always like to know this. What books have you read in the past? I know you mentioned Zig.
You
So
know,
do you think it's wrong to read books and study things? And
if you can see, I've got all these books besides mine. Um,
yes, I see them up there. Yeah.
um, I shouldn't say that. I don't read a lot of them because once you read Zig, a lot of these, and God bless these guys, there are some good ones. I mean, that's not fair to group them all together, but so many of these are just Zig with new terminology in it, you know. Um, I will say, if you want to pick out authors, I would say Mark Hunter is one of my favorites. Ben Gay the
Okay.
third. Ben has his two books are great. Um, James Muir. There are some people that I really enjoy their books, but then I get some and I read them. I'm going, this is just nothing but LinkedIn hashed over again. It's
Right.
stuff that they've learned on LinkedIn, and that's all it is.
Okay. Yeah, because you know what, and the thing is, it's very difficult these days to live stream on LinkedIn. You have to get their permission,
Yeah,
which I don't have right now because I probably, in their eyes, am not an expert. I don't know what an expert is. I've seen people on there, um, and I'm not making light of it, but the way I'm looking at things when I watch people present their craft, so to speak, on LinkedIn, I always ask myself, what are they like live? Like doing this, talking into just the camera, and or you're on the other end of this. How do they interact with people in the flesh or via virtually? And I'm not saying everybody, but some of these presentations are so polished. I'm just like, holy moly! I wonder how many takes it took for them to do that. Just to promote their company or themselves. I'm not making fun of that. That's not my point. But I always look at you like real, raw, resilient. You are what you are, and you're the type of guy that I could sit down, have a cup of coffee. You could probably sell me a used car for all I know, but we'd have a good time doing it.
you need it. Can you pay cash and do you need a title? No.
Well, I don't know about the cash part. I may have to go visit a bank, maybe with a mask on, and go visit a bank if you really want cash that bad, Jay. So
I I had a guy do that once. It was like a $30,000 car, and he came up to me and says, "Would you take 15?" I go, "Yeah, I can do that. Can you pay in cash and do you need a title and can come by at midnight and pick it up?" And he looks at me and he goes, "No." And I said, "Well, yeah, I can't do 15." So, but
and
but it is funny when you talk about. I saw this all-star presentation on LinkedIn, and it was funny you mentioned that because these people, when they get, and they're, again, it's not fair to me to say this, but they don't know. They'd be asked a question and they had no answer.
right,
And
right,
you're going, how professional can you be? And unfortunately, they're the ones that go out and are charging people tens of thousands of dollars for, I'd say, nothing, but that's about where you're
right.
at.
Ron mentioned the word authentic, and Tom mentioned the word authenticity. Uh, and I really feel like you emulate that in your approach. There's wit, there's wisdom. Excuse me for digressing a bit to get biblical, but wisdom, let us be attentive. And you have that wisdom, and you encapsulate it with your humor. And I understand where you're coming from. And I think sometimes some of us take ourselves way too serious. And it's just sales. We're not putting somebody up on the moon or
No,
performing open heart surgery. We get all geeked up about our schedules and where we need to be. And I'm sure when you were younger, you probably went through this. What kind of changed your persona about how to deal with day in and day out things, Jay? Because
just
you have a very great disposition.
well, of course, it all goes. We wouldn't be salespeople if we didn't have a mental breakdown once or twice in our life. Okay, and and I hate to say probably a narcotics habit too. But anyway, but it was probably my late 20s, early 30s, or everything just fell apart. And then I've learned um, that hey, it isn't life or death. I mean, do my best, and if I don't get a sale, as long as I know that I tried my best, and did everything I possibly could, well, it's okay.
Right.
And if I screw up, I don't really beat myself up. I'm gonna, you idiot, you're smarter than that, and do that. But it,
Right.
but that it just learns. You just after a while, you just learn the first of the month, holy bucket. I got to do it over again. You
Right.
don't even think that anymore. It's just like the sun comes up and the sun goes down, and it's the next day again. And you know what? At the end of the month, I'll always be where I want to be at. It's like the baseball players at the beginning of this season that you know they're in a slump to start off the season. But I guarantee you, at the end of the year, they're going to be at 300 with 35 home runs and 110 RBIs.
Sure.
They'll be there at the end of the year. They
And
always are.
you picked something near and dear to my heart because I feel like sales is like baseball, and baseball to me is like life. I do umpire. My son played this game in college, even had some tryouts at the next level, and it's just a process you go through. One of my good friends here, Randy Chafee, said too many are not raw and organic. To me, that that is still the way to help people buy. Most buyers don't like it trust. They're polished, and he has JMO, and
Yeah, that's true. It's
you can almost be too slick. I mean, and that scares people.
it's like word tracks. I knew one guy wrote a post on this. Guy was a great salesperson, but everything he said was a sales track. And I'm going, dude, nobody trusts you because I can imagine why you feel that way, Mister Jones or whatever. And they'd say something. Well, 9 out of 10. I said, dude, do you ever talk to people, or is your whole conversation a word track? You
Right.
know, a word track. You got to make them your own, and not make it sound like a word track, because that's what it sounded like. It was just everything was, you know, they'd ask a question, you'd answer it with a question, and sure you can do that. Why is that important to you? But you can only do that so many times. And if you don't know the answer, just tell them. Even if I know
Right.
the answer, I switch it on them. Yeah, good answer. I mean, yeah, I don't know why. What do you, whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you're too polished and just full of word tracks, it sounds great when you're in the training room, but when you're in real life with the customer, that dog don't hunt.
Right. Right. Robert, just so you know, he says, got you covered there. One breakdown coming up. He said, us salespeople have breakdowns. So, uh, and here's Randy. This guy's a road warrior, and I love Randy. You'd love him too. He said, "Know your shit, care about the customer, and help them buy." And
Yeah,
Randy deals with the roofing industry. He's the manufacturer's rep, and he's out there getting it, man. He's out there
yeah,
tearing it up. Has his own business, and to have a lot of respect for him. I call him road warrior because he'll be driving somewhere, and he gives that old school, and I'll just like watch him, go to work.
yeah,
But I think with that, Jay, is having conversations with people. Is that kind of what is different now with certain people that are out there in sales, and they masquerade under the word enablement, development. They and just come right out and say, "Hey, I'm in sales." It's like, if you say sale, it's like that four-letter word, or sell.
yeah. I don't understand it. And by the way, we're not supposed to have money as salespeople because we
Right,
earned it dishonestly. I
right,
mean, I tell people I don't know how many of my kids' birthdays I missed, and weekend get-togethers at grandma and grandpa's because kids were there, but dad would come in about 6:30 or 7, on a Saturday night, and or Friday be late for this and that. But there's a lot of work. I mean, that's why you got to be proud being a salesperson, because
right,
I mean, we do work hard, and you know what? If you do it right, you should be proud. If you don't do it right, then there's a reason why you feel like a snake,
right.
because it's who you are.
Did you ever, like, your mind, like, up here, think of a customer as your commission, or did you one day say, "Hey, these are potential people that are looking to come for me for help. I'm going to forget about my quota and all that nonsense and just do what I do best, and it'll take care of itself. I mean, how do you approach that? I'm
Well,
just
that's
would love.
just it. The main thing is you got to help them. You got to figure. You can't worry about a commission on something that you don't have an answer to. You know what I mean? It's
Gotcha.
I can't. You know, if I don't have a solution to their problem, whatever they want, then how can I get a commission off of that? You know, so it's like you say, just help people. Don't worry about the commissions will come and go. And it's funny, once you quit worrying about the commissions, the more commissions you actually got, which is kind of weird how that works.
Right.
I will say there's only one time that it was selling timeshare, and this guy came in. His name was Dick, and I had a lot of fun with that. He goes, "Hey, I come to these all the time. I've never sold nothing. You ain't gonna sell me nothing." And he had his checkbook in his front pocket. And I was sitting there going, I just love using that word, Dick. Well, Dick, what do you think, Dick? You know, kind of like that. And by golly, if I didn't sell them, it was just awesome because I said, hey, you know what? I'm just new at this. I'm not even going to worry about selling. Let's just have fun. Is that okay, Dick? You know.
And Randy, he's a fan. He goes, boom,
Yeah.
spot on, Jay.
Well, it's the truth, you know. But yeah, that's the only time. But it really wasn't even to get the commission. It was just to sell the guy, and it just helped. His name was Dick, and I could focus on that checkbook.
I'm sharing some comments here as we got like Tom Ginn. Nothing happens in the world of business without the salesperson. We are the engine of the company.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know
and
what's funny in the company? We could be the most hated. The office girls don't like us,
right.
you know, because they write our checks. Service doesn't like it. You
Or,
know,
or the accountants, you know,
yeah,
like why are we paying this guy so much?
Service doesn't like him. Well, because a lot of times we we lied. No, I mean they're going. You know, I've always been good not to oversell and undersell. If I didn't know, I'd get the answer. But service guys, no wonder they hate us because you get salespeople out there saying, "Yeah, we can do this in a day." And they're going, "How can you do this in a day?" And this isn't what our product does, you know. But it is funny. We make the
Right.
company run, but we're the most hated group out of everybody.
I always tell that the sales support people make those lies into realities. I mean, I'm kidding when I say that, but
Yeah,
I mean, you know, at one point I was in the trade show industry for a couple of years, quite a few years, and I always tried to make it fun because you know, if you've ever been to a trade show, which I'm sure you
yeah,
have, there's a lot of work that goes into making those big events happen, and I'm talking about major convention centers. And yeah, Tom says our marketing, they don't like you either.
no,
Yeah,
no,
but
no.
I love
And we're
those
supposed,
marketing guys. The
and that's funny, Tom,
theories.
because we're supposed to be
Yeah.
sales and marketing.
Well, not
I mean,
really.
I know, but that's silly. They
Yeah.
should be together.
But with that, here he goes. Ron says, last week I sold Dick. Kidding. So I get you, Ron. And Ron has a graphic business, and he can create any type of marketing atmosphere that you need out there, from family reunions to sales and marketing messages to you name it, and he takes care of it. But he's seen things come and go in his business, and
Yeah,
he's of that, I don't want to say old school, but he's of the adage of, you know, taking care of the customer and doing right by the customer. And I think there are enough people out there that want to do that, Jay, but it's like they're afraid to like venture out and just be themselves and say, hey, you know, let's talk, let's have a conversation. And
yeah,
I had a conversation today with somebody that they said, Mark, you've indelibly cemented sales concepts into my skull because you've called me enough, you've emailed me enough. Please stop. Yes, when we're ready, I'll call you. And he wasn't mad. But he
yeah.
appreciated the fact, I guess, my stick to itness. And we had a good chuckle and we moved on. Said, cool, you know, no big deal. And he didn't take it personal. He knew what I was trying to do.
So did you go? Okay, how about next Tuesday at 4 or Wednesday at 3:32?
Well, I had a guy tell me don't call me anymore. So I called him back, Jay. This is a true story. I told my boss this, and I said, "Hey, Jay, you said don't call you anymore. So is that like just for the day? next week, next month, the rest of the year, or is that for life? And he said, you're impossible. Okay, 6 months. Call me in 6 months. And he just said, this guy's a pain in the ass. He's not going to go away. But we had a good chuckle. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Don't be afraid to take a chance. Have fun with it.
well, you know what? You show you're human and by that too, and it's just like you just laugh. You know what I mean? I've done that too. One guy on the phone, and it was before internet, but he wouldn't give me his number. He told me his name, what town he lived in,
Right.
but he wouldn't give me his number. So he hung up. I look in the phone book. Well, there he is. I call him up. I go, hey, by the way, now did you look at that car in blue, or who is this? I go, well, this is Jay from Terry Schulte's or whatever. And he's, how'd you get my number? I said, well, I watched a lot of Magnum PI. First, you told me your name and where you live.
Magnum PI.
So I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I can do that.
But you know what? That's another great point because I make anywhere from 60 calls a day and I talk with different people, CEO, CFO, COO. I'm not going to get into all that. And it's funny, how'd you get my number? It's like Forbidden Zone or something. And I just chuckle about it. So I turned it around and said, well, let me ask you something. How do your salespeople get numbers? Wouldn't you want them doing this to get to the person? Okay,
Yeah,
what do you got? Just
yeah,
it catches them like, how do your people out there like, or we're not allowed to give numbers, Mr. J. We can't
yeah.
do that here at XYZ Widget Company. Information we're not allowed to give out to people. It blows me away when you call up companies.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm sorry, but you got a sales force. They're doing the same thing I'm doing. Why is it okay for them to do it?
Right.
Your wife gave it to me.
Okay, there you go. Hey, that's a good one, Robert. I'm going to save that one day for a really hard-headed individual. You know what? Your wife called me. No, I better. I'll never call him again. But Jay, tell me, like, from like we kidded about this. Like when you talk about old school, new school, school of sales, we were touching on some things. Do you think some people like just want to text or email versus, and I'm going to hold this up instead of using this thing here called the phone? Yeah, you got one too. And an iPhone's for some people is by design to play games on it. But I guess
Yeah.
where I'm going with this, is it wrong to incorporate virtual and using some social media out there and picking up the phone and maybe an email on occasion? Where some people hide behind texting and just sending out an email. Like I've
Well, yeah. In sales, a lot of the new school guys would rather sit there. This is just an accident too, blue phone.
Oh
But
my
they would.
God.
Yeah. I just thought of that now when I picked it up. I was going
You
to do
got a
that.
blue phone and a blue iPhone there, man.
Yeah. No, well, I don't do iPhone. I'm not smart enough for that. But
Okay.
but salespeople would rather do this. Here's my task. Okay, I got my CRM. I got to do 40 tasks today. Okay, contact this person. Do you have any questions for me? Send. Okay, there, my task is done. You know, I gave you a day to think about it. When should we proceed with the order? Send. Because this way, they don't get any. There isn't any confrontation. No chance
Right.
to know. You
Right.
know, and that's the problem with this or the emails is
Right.
you're really not filling a task. You're doing a boilerplate with them. They just wonder if you thought of got that information I sent you. Send. And they're going to go, holy crap, this I did all 40 tasks in about 30 seconds. I
Right.
go, I'm going to sit at the water cooler and
No,
tell
and you
everybody
know
how good
what?
I am. You
People
know,
think I'm weird because I love to have engagement, but I love differences of opinion because to me, now we're talking. Like if there's an
yeah.
objection, that's great.
Well, I'll do
Um,
that. If they say, you know what, I prefer to email. Okay, that's not a problem. I email. We go back and forth and say, finally, because they don't know. For one, I haven't earned the right to call them yet because they don't know if I'm going to be some cycle car salesman or camper salesman or copier salesman, who knows what. But that sits there and is going to call them 43 times a day. So I prefer to email. Perfect. That's fine. That's good. I can send you a link to something we can talk. But after a while, it goes, you know what? It'd be a lot easier now. I need to get some information from you. Is it okay if I call you on the phone? And by that time, yeah, that's fine because you earned the trust to ask them to get on the phone. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, internet dating. I really never did much, because
I can't imagine why with that blue phone, Jay. You
no,
probably are
that's
like
just
a
it.
magnet.
Yeah, the blue phone. It's something about that blue. But no, but it's just, it's like people tell me I've been talking to this girl, for 3 months. Okay, don't you think you want to maybe meet her, or do you want to just sit there and talk? I mean, what's the idea of this? You're looking for a pen pal? Heck, I can give you the number for the women's penitentiary. They want to talk to. They'll love to write letters. They'll write letters with anybody.
Oh my
You know,
God.
you know. But that's just it. But if you do, email is fine, but you do have to take it into a phone call, and you do have to start having a conversation that way. And if you've earned that right, you'll get that. Oh, sure, here's my number. You call me.
Absolutely. And Tom mentions here, nothing happens without a
Well,
conversation.
it doesn't, and Tom's right. I mean, that's G-force. I guess. See, I remember things.
Oh, hey, he remembers. Look at that. You remember,
Yeah,
man.
it's not right,
Hey,
Murray. I mean March.
look at
So,
that. And
but
and and then look at this. Robert Brooker says, "There's another Chinese woman wooing me. Life is rough." Good for you, man.
yeah,
But when you sat
it's the
down with
Jetta.
Mark,
It's the Jetta. See, good things happen when you buy a Jetta.
see, you see that, Robert? The Jetta. Oh, I guess I'm doing something wrong, but I better not tell Gina. Anyway, when are you like you mentioned something about engaging, asking for the sale, and like everybody like plays around about this, like they're afraid to just say, "Hey, Jay, we've given you enough information, fair enough. Are we ready to get started? You want to give it a try?" It's like you're afraid to ask that proverbial question because they don't want to hear the infamous no.
Yeah.
Um, do you find that some people just can't come
They,
forward and ask? I mean,
they
like
don't
you
want to be,
sold a lot of cars. I know you have. So,
but yeah, 7. I'm working. No. um,
okay. So how many years was that now? That's a
I,
record.
I I average one every 8 years. No.
Okay.
The problem is they're so busy building up that friendship. Now, see, you can make a friend and carry that conversation, that relationship too far, where you're afraid to ask for a sale because now you've been over here to the friend side, and now you don't want to be a salesperson asking for the sale because you're going to be perceived too salesy. Hey, he's my friend. You got to always remember your friend. You're not a friend in the sense of you're going to go have dinner with them, but you do help them. With the information, you're a friend like that, helping them. And then, of course, if you find the right solution, it's your job to actually ask for the sale because you know what, I've got the perfect solution for you.
Right. Right.
And most of the
So
time, they usually know.
right. So tell me, what did you sell door to door? I'm curious.
Uh, Now, I really didn't do a lot of door to door. It was more, like I said, timeshare, but people walking in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
could,
Well,
I could, I could never do door to door. I did try to do vacuum cleaners.
did you really?
Yeah,
How did you approach that? I mean,
not very well. I lasted a day, and then they wanted the vacuum cleaner back. It sucked.
well, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, whatever it was, when we had that little financial hiccup and between right sizing, downsizing, and we all have trials and tribulations. My world got stripped from me, so to speak. So I had to sell door to door lawn care. That was an interesting proposition for me because I remember I called my boss up and I said, for all those guys that don't want to pick up the phone and call customers, you can do what I'm doing. And I went, shh, 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 and I held my phone up. He goes, "Oh my God, you're not." I said, "Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah,
I'm knocking on doors selling lawn care." And
yeah,
oh, yeah.
yeah. See, that's what like Mark Hunter. He came and called me up and said, "Hey, you want to go to lunch?" And of course, when Mark Hunter calls, he goes, "Sure." And we met.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Does he live near you
Well, he
or?
lives in Omaha, which is 2 hours away. So there's
Okay.
a town called Sioux City right between us,
Right.
an hour south, an hour north for him. So we met there, and it was so funny because I'm sitting there going, "Oh man, he's gonna know that I'm a fraud." Since March. But we sat down, and first thing he asked me was, he goes, "What's it like car sales?" I go, "Dude, it's I don't have time to, like, you guys always talk about research your client and do this and figure all this stuff." I said, "I got 10 feet. I got to look and see how I'm going to approach these people." I said, "The only job tougher would be door to door, because you knock on that door, you don't know who's going to open up the door,
Right.
and as soon as they open it up, you've got to figure out. Now I've got 10 feet. You don't have that. You have the door opening, and you don't know who's going to be opening that door, and you got to figure out how to approach, because I know you had to have different approaches. If mom, came up holding a baby crying, or a guy comes up with his wife beater on, and and a can of beer, and it's only 9 o'clock in the morning. But you're from Georgia, you're pretty used to that stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, thanks, Jay. But here, Tom said, and he's kidding, but
yeah,
you cleaned the whole house without a sale. That's
oh,
why people loved you when you sold vacuums, because
yeah.
all those prospects were like, "Hey, that guy Jay, we want him back." You were probably cleaning everybody's house.
No, I tell you what, do it once, they don't have any electricity. That sucks when you dump all that shit. I mean, all that stuff on their floor. Where do I plug this in at? What do you mean plug in? That's going on great.
So you still didn't tell me. So who would you think in an election? Is it old school, new school, school of sales? And I know
Well,
you did this with the glasses. You showed us how that
oh
worked.
yeah, yeah. I still got them here. I can talk to you at old school and new school, and I had to go with the new school glasses there because they
Oh
weren't coming
wow,
through yet. Oh yeah, buddy. Um, I hope it is. The way I made fun of everything was, it should be school of sales. There should be no old school, new school. I mean, that everybody thinks
thank
old
you.
school is high pressure. We don't care. We just want to rip you off. We want to do this. New school is so much. We don't want to antagonize anybody. We don't want to be a salesperson. We want to be a helper. We're a guide. No, we're not. We're salespeople, and that's what you got to be proud to be a salesperson. And that's what I hope school of sales is. Just learn from everybody. I mean, that's what you got to do. Learn from the past, and Zig Ziglar and Dale Carnegie just as relevant today as they were 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Right, right. And that's what I when I was asking you. How do you when I know you were kiddingly saying I don't read a lot, or do you have a routine that you do in the morning, or you just
I do, but it isn't much. It's just basic. Believe it or not, I like silence in the morning. I when I
that's
drive
cool.
when I drive to work, it's just I focus on my day. Now, before I go home, I always write on my yellow legal pad, my CRM, the best one, what I have to do. Because that way, when I go home, I can leave work at home. I don't have these random thoughts going through my ADD squirrel head, up all night thinking of this. And I just get ready in the morning. I don't watch any news. I don't watch that. I just kind of get ready. I don't
Right.
meditate because I'd fall asleep and be late for work. But that's my routine. It's just I just get ready I don't read motivational quotes. I think they're malarkey. I think a lot of people like motivational quotes, but they last for about 2 seconds. I mean that's just me. My motivational quote is why I do something is I want to do this for my kids, or I want to do this for my retirement. I want to do this for my wife. That's my motivation. So
Gotcha. No, that's great. No, and I appreciate you sharing that with us.
yeah, I'm
And
not one of
and
these crank the music up on the way to work and listen to a little ACDC or whatever. But
somehow I can't picture you listening to ACDC, but you have this, what you mentioned of yourself, you have Danish humor. I
yeah,
call it a dry wit. And you do make sales fun again, uh, because I could just picture somebody coming up to you and they got a baby and it's crying and going crazy. The wife's giving her husband grief. I don't want to be here. Hey, we're going to test drive this car. And the three of you all get in the car together, and what's that like? There you are, and you're off to the races.
well, I've told people, I said, you know why I sell cars? And they go, why? Because I said, I hate to buy them. It sucks, doesn't it? And they're going, yeah. I said, well, you know. So let's make this not quite as sucky, okay? You know, but I mean, I understand. It's like, hey, when you woke up in the morning, you're thinking to your husband, going, "Hey, we need a new car," and you're all excited about it. You're looking in the paper, or internet, and finding the best deal,
Right.
and you're excited until the first minute you pull into a dealership parking lot, and you got six guys flicking their cigarettes out, running up to your car. Can I help you? Can I help you? I said, "It's no fun anymore." And they go, "No." So you know what? Let's just don't let's make it less sucky. So
Tom says you rock and roll, so
oh,
that's
there
cool.
you go. I like that.
And with that, since I not too long ago helped my son, it was like an all day process to buy the truck. I mean, is it supposed to be that way, Jay? I mean, I haven't bought a. This wasn't new. Now it was used, but it's the process you got to go through. I was dealing with this guy, then here, then there. It's like three people involved in the process. This is at a dealership. I'm
Yeah,
just asking.
it shouldn't be. I mean, that's the thing is with automobile. Once you get into management, all of a sudden your ego takes over, and it isn't. Finance guys, they can pull you up. You can be an 850 credit score. Okay, just roll the card. They're tier one. Get them the rate. Go. They got to sit there and look at it. Well, what do we do? Well, let's see. They were late on a payment back in 1972. And going, just guys, just can we go? Can we just get them in finance, get them done? But it doesn't.
Right.
Then the back and forth, back and forth. My boss gets mad at me because a lot of times I'll just have a deal and I leave him out of it. Here you go, I got this. What do you got? I said, we got a deal here. Well, what is it? And I said, we're okay. Instead of playing, I tell people I'm 250 pounds. I like being 250 pounds. I don't like running back and forth. So, you know, I don't.
That's a great.
I'm lazy. That's why I'm in sales. I don't want to make this hard. And I have it pretty much before we even sit down, kind of figured out where we got to be. Or I worked one price stores and just tell them that. But we don't need to drag it on. I think people feel for some reason they got to make it painful and spend hours and hours and get into finance, and then it takes hours and hours because they got to load up their menu with your gap and your protection and your insurance and all this other stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
yeah,
They
no,
give you that spiel about bumper to bumper and what's
oh yeah,
covered and
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he said
but you know
I
what? That's where the money is anymore. Is
in the
is in the back end.
yeah, the
The front end,
financing.
there isn't money anymore.
He said, I hear that I got up to 267, Robert says here.
Oh yeah.
And he said he is 5'8". So he said you like to take it easy and so forth. So
Yeah, I'm 6'2" and about 250, and I don't carry it well. I'm not big boned. No.
so I'm going to get into this. When you met with Mark, what was that like to sit down with him? Because
Oh, I
I've
was
heard Mark
intimidated.
speak, and
Oh,
what
it was great, but he sat down and he was just so cool. And he's tall, you know. But I
he
was
is a
sitting there
tall
going,
fella, yeah.
and I get his phone number when we were leaving, and he said, "Oh, here's my phone number. Call me." So I punch it in my phone, and I put it in my pocket. His phone rings. He looks up. He goes, "You're calling me." Oh shit! So I, do this. Put it in my pocket. 2 seconds later, his phone starts ringing again. He goes, "You're calling me again." I go, "Oh yeah, but pocket dialing you, Mark." But super nice guy. Gave me, a copy of his book. He did buy lunch, and I talked to him all the time. I remember I had a question for him. I was working for a guy, and it was just a bad experience. Should have been smarter than that. But he gave me a sales pitch, a phone pitch to call people on. I'm going, this one's worthless. So I was driving through Omaha and on my way down to whatever, and I sent Mark a text, "Hey, call me if you get a second." 2 seconds later, my phone call rings. Here's Mark. "What's up, buddy?" And I'm going, "Hey, wow, Mark Hunter." And I asked him about it. I said, "Hey, I got a question for you." And he goes, "There's a book out there called High Profit Prospecting." And he says, "I know you got it. I gave you 2 copies of it." And I said, "Well, Mark, why do I need to read it when I can just talk to you direct?" you know, but to have him just call me out of the blue, call me right away after I
Right.
talked to him, and then we talked over, and he goes, "Man, do your sales pitch. And I started the sales pitch. He goes, okay, you lost me already. So he helped refine it with me, driving down the road, and it's just like, wow, Mark, that's, guy makes a bazillion dollars, go talk to a Coca-Cola convention in Brazil, but just so giving of his time. It's just, I can't say enough good things about Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a good man. He definitely knows his craft.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this. I've heard some interesting conversations from a pocket dial, Robert
Oh, yeah.
says.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the one thing about these iPhones. You got to be careful that they
Oh,
are
yeah.
turned off. Um, which is it all comes back to, the phones, the
Yeah.
the real phone. But do you think younger salespeople don't like to use this? What do you,
You know what? Because they don't even like to do it with their friends. They call up and say, you're going to pick me up for school. They'd rather send a text instead of just a quick, hey, do this. But they don't even like to talk on the phone with their friends. That's just it. They're so ingrained with, this way I communicate. I got to send a text.
right,
Just call
right.
them. Would you
And
get
I'm
that?
not picking on younger
No,
salespeople.
no,
That's not what I meant. But
no.
there
But
are there are
there's
people
still,
that are middle aged that hide behind the iPhone, and
well, then there's people that our age that refuse to do Zoom conferences because they're afraid.
yes, and
They're
that's another great point.
Yep, and they're afraid to use texting. They're afraid to use email because all they know is face to face and phone to phone. So
Right,
it's the era we're in. It's nothing against young people. I tell you what, I'm very very happy with the millennials. I mean, they've been so good to me and helped me out. I have nothing bad to say about them, but it's just from my perspective is that they are, and that's the way they were used to, um, just contact using text and email. And that's how
right,
they communicate.
right. And that's what I'm saying. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said there is no old school, new school. It's just the school of sales, and let's just go out there and have fun. Let's do it right, and whatever right is. But it doesn't have to be difficult. And that's one of the things that it's so refreshing to hear from you, Jay. Like through your journeys, you've simplified the process. And anybody I've ever been around that's been successful, they've simplified their own process, and then they just apply it day in and day out, and that's why they're successful at what they do. It's not that tough. It's kind of like if you want to look like Charlie Atlas, then go to the gym,
Yeah,
and do the exercise, put in the work. There's that word. That's another four-letter word,
yeah.
work. And if you do that, good things are going to happen.
Well, I photoshopping works a lot better for me.
Oh, is that what you're
Oh,
doing now? You
yeah. So I
Photoshop?
Photoshop now. I don't have to spend any time at the gym. Just cut and paste.
Oh my God. So when they see you, like you show a pic, hey, this
Yeah.
is me. Well, that was me up till a couple months
Oh
ago,
heck
or
no! I walk around in a box so they can't see
oh,
underneath.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
All I see is my head.
I got to remember, I got to try that,
Oh, trust
but
me. Hang out with me, buddy. I'll teach you a lot of things.
I know I would love to have you talk to some people when I'm talking about sales training. What do you think about sales training, for instance? Do you think it's needed? And you can be
Oh
honest. I
yeah.
mean, do you
It
think
it
people
it
need to refine their craft?
it needs to be needed, and with my son, I was kind of upset that here he is now going to sell cars in South Carolina, and I can't help him. I wanted to take him under my wing. The dealership he's at, again, Toyota of Greer, South Carolina, very good company. I mean, we were blessed to find him. Jed Holtzman is his name, is the general sales manager.
Right,
But they did training, and it was my son was telling me all this about the training he got done. I mean, what he's done, and he repeated enough stuff so I knew he was getting it good. Good training. But we need training, but we don't need any of these BS training. I mean, the training where you're shoving the customer through a funnel to get to the close. Where you're just cramming them down a pipeline to get at the very end, because we don't have to teach people the process and how to close. We just get them to the close, and then we're going to pigeonhole in for a yes or no answer. That's what it is.
Right.
But if you explain the whole process, why we do each step of the sale, why is it we do it? And then you got to know how. If 1, 2, 3, the third step, if we have to go to the fifth, we still got to come back to the fourth sometime to bring that in too. But know how to be flexible within the sales process. But again, know the why you do it. It doesn't do any good to know the sales process if you don't know the whys behind it.
Right. And do you think people, like, after about call 3 or 4, they give up, right? I mean,
Yeah,
some people.
yeah.
And how many times have you called somebody?
Oh, dude, too many times. And here's the other thing with cold calling I don't like is I got a job once and I did cold calling. I didn't even know it. I wasn't. They said, "Hey, all you're gonna do is call somebody up and just ask if they have any projects coming up in the next, 1 month, year. And what are those projects?" And or somebody calls them. I said, "Yeah, I can do that." I did that for like 6 months. I didn't even know it was cold calling until I get on LinkedIn, and all I hear is, "You're gonna do this and you're gonna hate it." Well, heck, I'm glad nobody told me I was gonna hate it because I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But they make it a punishment. You've got to do this, and after you do this for 6 months, we're going to put you in another, terrible job. No, until you get into sales, but it's the way they pitch phone training.
Right.
You're going to hate it. You're going to hear no's. I mean, they didn't even tell me I was going to get no's. I just assumed I was going to. They didn't tell me to
Right.
watch out for gatekeepers. Somebody go, "Yeah, I can help you." I talk to Tom Jones or whatever, and yeah, who was calling? Well, Jay Jensen on behalf of XYZ company. That was it. I didn't know I was supposed to, tell the gatekeeper she looks beautiful today, type of deal. I did that at one of my things,
Hey, that's a good one.
my videos. I do that. I was going like, okay, oh yeah, by the way, I like your hair today. Like this, huh? I said, I don't know. They told me I'm supposed to be good to you. You're the gatekeeper, and hello, hello, hello. But it's just be yourself and treat people as people, and cold calling doesn't have to suck unless you're talking about it. I mean, unless
Right.
you're, if you say something's gonna suck, it's gonna suck.
Right. And that my point being is, like you mentioned about going virtual or using Zoom, and that's part of it. But eventually, you're still going to have to get on that phone and converse
Yeah,
with people.
yeah,
And that was my point. Some people think you can just do these slick canned presentations, whether they're on LinkedIn, whatever. And again, please, I'm going to preface it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you've got to use the other tools of your proverbial sales bag or kit.
yeah.
And you can't just be one dimensional and say, I'm
No,
just going to do virtual and that's it. I'm not going
yeah.
to pick up the phone and, that's how I'm going to
Or
roll. And
try to golf with only using your driver. You got
right,
to use your other clubs.
right.
You know. So
So, you know, can you share a funny story with us? Because,
dude,
like,
I don't have any funny stories. No, I would probably say, yeah. But Dick was my favorite one. It was selling him in timeshares, but dude, I probably got so many I can't keep them straight. And it's, the funny part about my wife says, she goes, "You can tell your stories are true." And I go, "Why is that?" She goes, "Because you always look like the idiot at the end." I'm never the guy that saved the bus full of nuns going off the cliff. I was the guy that changed their tire that came off that drove them off the cliff.
oh,
That's
wow.
yeah. I'm never the hero. I'm usually the reason why it happened.
When you did your recordings, like when you did the Hubba Bubba and you did, your blue phone and said about old school, new school, and what made you do that, and what were you trying to convey to us that are in sales or just the general public? What was your message? What were you thinking about?
You know, I don't really know. A lot of times, just something pops in my head, but it's kind of about this election. I still get beat up, old school and new school. There's certain tribes on there, and
Right,
just everything about old school sucks. And I'm going, you don't understand what old school is, you know, and new school. And so what I was just basically trying to say was, we got to learn to appreciate from each school and
right,
come together, and New school isn't the way, the answer. Old school isn't the answer, but there's some good quality, principles in each that we should bring together and use.
Sure.
And if we have to give it a label and just call it sales or the
Yeah, the
school,
school of sales is
let's
what
forget about
you, yeah,
old school, new school. Let's just call it
right,
sales.
right.
So I guess
And
if that was my madness and method behind my madness or whatever, that I guess that was it.
and Tom says there is the book. He's talking about that white book behind you, which
Oh yeah,
we're all dying if you ever write that thing.
oh yeah,
And Tom says they never went to school.
yeah.
And there's that party, but and I'm so glad to hear you say that, Jay, because you talked about virtual, you talked about Zoom, and I could see you doing that. But like you said, there's some people that are anti even sending an email, much less getting on live like this. And this is all part of the process. And some people want to fight everything, and you know, just go along with it. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, is it?
No, not really, not at all. It's it's just you always got to be open minded and just do what experience. That's just it. I mean, that's one thing you can't teach is experience.
Now, I will ask you, when you first started out selling, if you would have had this tool right here along with Zoom, what would you have done different then back then?
It's hard to say. I mean, quite honestly, because it was a different time back then. And
Because you had to call people, right? I mean,
oh yeah, we had like the Rolodex and called the phone book. I feel sorry for the guys with name was Samuel Abertson or something, because every salesperson would call. You start in the A's, okay, call everybody in the phone book. So of course, A. So the poor guy, his name's Tom Asase, AASE. He had about every day he probably had a salesman call him because he had a cold call out of the phone book. Hey, you're in the market for a car. You know anybody in the market for a car? Hey, if you can get somebody to the dealership today, I'll give you $100. If they buy a car.
right.
So, but
Hey,
yeah,
Jay, it's probably every time they had a training session,
yeah,
everybody, all the new trainees that we put out in the field. Oh God, it's them again. They're calling me.
I know it.
Started at the A's and
Yeah, poor, poor Alan Assassi. No, but
but is that what you did back then? Did you actually go through a phone book? I mean, did you?
I never did. I figured there's better things to do, like be on the lot.
Okay,
And instead of calling people, I was smart enough to realize let's be out there because that's when the lot people would drive,
right,
through because
right.
they didn't have any internet or any way to check. So I go, you guys, I've always kind of been a little rebel, but I'm going, I don't know, it makes more sense here where I'm calling people I don't even know when there's people driving through the lot out here that I could probably talk to in person and probably get more done with
Yep,
them.
yep.
I'm going to
That's
do
a
that.
great point.
Well, they never liked it because
Right.
I
And
was,
can
I was too smart.
yeah, they're like looking at, oh, here he comes.
Like, dude, so you're telling me you only been in business 3 days and it all. Well, I know that I'm better off selling something to people driving through the lot instead of calling some guy up while he's watching Wheel of Fortune.
Sure.
You know,
And let me ask you this. Uh, you mentioned about like calling people. Did you like once you went through that process, was there a point like in your sales career where you said, "Hey, there are other tools out there for me to use, and I've got to keep up with this," as opposed to selling the same old way or doing things the same old way? Was there a
well,
reality check?
yeah, well, I mean, it's like I was the first one to really embrace internet sales. I'm going, holy crap, this is something that we had better pay attention to.
Right.
Because I'm going, it didn't take long. There's one internet guy, and all of a sudden he's the one getting all the people in. I'm going, you mean so they send all these inquiries about a certain car, and it goes to one guy, and he's getting 50 a day. I said, there's got to be a better
Right.
there's got to be a better way than this. But I've learned to embrace everything as it's come. I mean, I don't believe cold calling. It really isn't cold calling in the sense is if you're in a business like business to business, there is no cold calling because you still have a business or some sort of relationship you can talk
Sure.
about. You can make that call warm. Now there's a difference between calling Tom Ellen Sassy in the phone book and see if he has anybody that wants a car, you know. That, or you can call previous customers, that's no cold calling. There's things you can do, but um yeah, but I mean there's Facebook. I mean there's social media. There's so many different ways now to get
Sure.
better quality leads, or not always quality, but at least something.
Right. So, can you share something with us? Did you ever have an aha moment in your life? Like I always kiddingly say this on Mark's message, since I like baseball. Everybody at some point encounters a 3-2 moment in their life where it's kind of like you went through a struggle, a trial, a tribulation, whatever you want to call it. Did, I mean, we all fail somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Did you ever encounter something that you thought was
Uh,
devastating and now you can laugh about?
yeah, a lot of times. I mean, I've told you about my mental struggles and stuff like that. I mean, that's probably my biggest aha was just, wait a minute, I'm approaching this wrong. It's not life or death. It's have fun. Or if I'm struggling and keep trying to power through it, my aha moment was, you know what, maybe I need to step back for 2 3 days.
Right.
Instead of trying to work your way through it. No, dude, that's going to keep pounding my head in the dirt, or I mean, against the wall. Let me just back off a little bit and go. But, I would say everybody, they probably don't realize it, but they've had hundreds of aha moments, as they've gotten older going, holy crap, that's not maybe the way I should do it. Maybe I should do it this, or, oh, buckets, I was doing that all wrong,
Right.
type of aha moment. I mean, there's nothing profound. It's just my life's been, thank God, I've been a failure so many times because I've had a lot of aha moments along the way. you know?
But like you mentioned, your son has what has he learned from you? Have you ever talked to him about sales, and has he
Well,
watched
no,
you in operation and when you're
no,
dealing with a customer or
never, never has. And it's funny because I never knew, but I've got like a YouTube channel which I didn't even have marked public for a long time. It was Jay Jensen Talks Sales, but it's it was he watched those and I didn't know it. Then he went on LinkedIn and read my posts, and that's where he got a lot of his information. And the stuff I write about isn't earth shattering. I'm
right?
telling people this is not new. They're going, "Oh my God, you're so smart." No, I'm not. I'm stealing this from about 100 other people. But it's just stuff I try to refresh your memory on. You
Sure.
know, and then I've had a lot of people say, "Well, thank you. I've learned a lot from you," and I do appreciate that. But they have learned, you know, through my posts. I guess there is some stuff there that people can use. So,
Yep. Yeah,
but
because you're pretty active on LinkedIn, correct? Like,
yeah, not what, last couple months I really haven't been. I got to get
right.
back into that, but yeah,
Yeah, you have a Facebook account, a LinkedIn account. So Jay is available out there if you want to check
yeah,
out what he's all about. And I remember you made a quote about environment change. Selling, has discovery. So, and then I have a question mark here because I think this goes back to Ben's book, Closer Twos, that sales infiltration. You're such a natural where you actually become one with the customer. I mean, I don't know, just talking to you, I could see that. And it's not like you're selling somebody. You're
no,
like talking about solutions and what they like and what they don't like, and they're looking at you like, hey, he's giving me some things to think about, and they're not even thinking about the guy doesn't want my checkbook, or hey, do you have a trade, or hey, how's your
yeah,
credit, or all those dumbass questions you hear from
yeah,
you
yeah.
know
I mean, what it is, it's not. I don't know. I mean, I like people. That helps. you know,
yeah, it
and
does, doesn't it?
and I want to help them. Like I say, it's not the sale that the commission that gets me excited. It's like, hey, I helped somebody. Now it's with campers. This is cool because now they're making memories again. Going out with their kids, and the kids are putting
Right.
down their cell phones, and you got to look for the good and stuff. And COVID's a bad deal, but on the other hand, it is forcing families to go out together, and do things together. So for a camper sale, it's just cool. It's not that I sold it; it's just I'm helping to build memories. And as corny as that sounds, it works.
Well, I've got to share this. This is a news
Yeah.
flash. Sales is like sex. You got to get in bed.
Huh.
That's from Tom
Well,
Ginn. Would you like to elaborate on that, Mr.
no,
Jensen?
no, I think I better not.
We're trying to keep this, I think, PG or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but Jay, we're coming towards the end here, and I just truly want to thank you for giving us your time. This will I'm sure people have shared this. They'll probably see it. They'll probably say, "Who the heck's Mark and his message? He's a waste of time." But Jay's the guy I want to
No,
get to know.
no, it's been a lot of fun, and you've been a very good host, and I really enjoyed this. So
Okay, well,
thank
cool.
you.
We'd love to maybe have you back, but please forgive me. I'm sorry we didn't have any refreshments in the green room. I know you're upset about that.
No, no, I'm good. I got double bubble. I can
Oh, cool,
I got
cool.
gum.
Well, here you go. Robert shared it out, and thank
Well,
you,
thanks,
Robert, for
Robert.
doing that. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. And the thing I've learned in when I first saw your video and how you presented yourself, I said, yes, that is genius. In your own way, yeah, all kind okay, all kidding, whatever. So, but it made me think of, you know what? It needs to be fun. It doesn't need to be difficult. And if I deal with somebody that is difficult, I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, and no big deal because there's other customers out
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
did you approach car sales like that? I mean,
Yeah. If people are, you got to just understand people. And if I met somebody that was difficult, there's a reason for it usually. I mean, they're afraid they're going to get ripped off. They got an attitude, and that's just the way it is. And if there was no reason behind it, I just tell me, you know what? I mean, go home and beat your wife. You don't have to hit me anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding on that part. Kick the dog.
oh, okay,
No,
we'll delete that comment there.
no, but you know what I mean. It's just some people just aren't nice. But you got to
Right.
learn that people, and the majority of people are nice. There's a reason why they act that way. They come on a lot, yeah, because they're going to get a runaround. They're going to have to play a stupid game, like you say, spend all day here to get nothing accomplished, and that's where you run into people like that. I mean, it's just, you just got to understand people. And, that's, I guess, it comes with experience. I just understand that's the way they are.
Well, guys, once again, this is the man I call him, Jay Jensen, CEO, Sales Inc. I love where he's from, Suez Falls, South Dakota. I've never been there, but I swear to you, one day that I can't sell, so I wrote a book. I truly believe maybe one day he may surprise us. He might write just a page, but it'd probably be awe-inspiring page.
Oh,
I,
it probably would be chapter one.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
you probably get that far, right?
Yeah, maybe it might be CH period one.
Hey Jay, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna like remove you here, but I
All right.
stay put. I'll come right back to you.
All
And I
right.
just want to thank everybody here. So there you go, folks. You heard it from another sales master, I like to call him. Jay Jensen, CEO, Sales Inc., and Jay's message. If anything, what we can say about Jay is he makes it fun. And I love being around people like that. And like I said, you don't have to be suave, sophisticated, debonair, and all that other fun stuff. Okay. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Outstanding. And, Jay's just a type of guy. If I was going to buy a car or a camper, I'd want to be around him because he makes it fun. And that's what it's about. I think tonight was a lot of fun. I hope during my message, you got something out of it. And when I started this thing, as I was challenged by Ken Walls back a couple months, to be virtual and go out there. I'm going to end it this way: be a leader, be a friend, be a service. Once again, this was Mark's message, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, the peachiest place on the planet. And thank you so much for joining us, those that were able to do it, for sharing and your comments. I greatly appreciate it. I love you guys, and looking forward to having more quality individuals like Jay on. This is going to be a tough act to follow in my book when it comes to a selling perspective. And again, Mark's message, Peachtree Corners, peachiest place on the planet. And don't forget, since I love baseball, if you and I take the appropriate approach and keep swinging to the fences, we will eventually knock it out of the park. Good night, everybody. Have a very relaxing evening and get ready for tomorrow because it's Thursday to rip and roar. Catch you.